Let me ask you guys something. Doesn't everything look good in 16 by 9? It should, because from now on, instead of being all full screen, Give Me a Break is going to be in 16 by 9. So I say this, welcome to the 16 by 9 edition of Give Me a Break Saturday going into Sunday. As we look into the 1 month, as we continue looking into the 1 month since the Uvalde school shooting, there is new testimony in these gun laws. And just like recently, the Supreme Court is now doing their own open carry laws like they do in Texas. But not everybody's happy with that. Anti-violence community reacts to the Supreme Court striking down on guns. Let's take a look.
Free reign to actually have weapons and carry them outwardly and go anywhere we want to go. Does that even sound logical? I mean, let's just be real. Does it sound logical?
The bottom line is, it's going to be easier to carry a weapon.
So open the floodgate, they're coming, and you're going to have people, like I said, that's going to be walking around, and it's going to be like the OK Corral.
The Supreme Court has struck down New York's 108-year-old handgun licensing law, saying it's unconstitutional to require those applying for a license to show a specific need to carry a weapon in public. So now you just have to get a license and a background check. There's no interview process. Something Pastor Kenneth Simmons and John Smith strongly disagree with.
We're building the wrong way. We're going in the wrong direction, whether black or white. I'm not saying take your guns away. What I'm saying, if you're strong enough and mandated to have it securely by the law, I don't want our guns to be taken away. But at the same time, do not make it free enough for anybody to just walk around the neighborhood and brandish a firearm outwardly, because they can.
Justice Clarence Thomas writing about how the use of the word bear in the Second Amendment means individuals have the right to carry a weapon outside of their home.
The Constitution was written in old Anglo-Saxon English. Our people was enslaved based on old Anglo-Saxon English. So he can take that, and for lack of a better term, shove it.
This decision comes just weeks after the mass shooting at Tops on Jefferson Avenue, and after years of an uptick in gun violence across Buffalo.
Every single day there's somebody getting shot already. Why would you open the box to have more people getting shot? It doesn't make any sense. They're not looking here. They're not looking here. They're not looking at they can look at the massacre and debate it the way that they want to, but they're not looking here.
What they say they're the most concerned about is the period of time between now and when New York State is able to draft new gun laws.
So there's a loophole for somebody who has no business, with a firearm to obtain one.
They say if you have a gun, you're going to use it, and that will just lead to more innocent deaths.
And it's not going to happen in Beverly Hills, right? It's not going to happen in Buckhead. It's not going to happen in those communities. It's not going to happen in the Hamptons. It's going to happen on the east side of Buffalo. It's going to happen on the south side of Chicago. It's going to happen in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Baltimore, Maryland, Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to happen in places like that. And we are going to feel the effects of these type of laws that I believe is directly targeted to eradicate and erase my people.
Olivia Proya, 7 News, Buffalo.
And stuff like this is happening in Uvalde, Texas as we speak. Over 1 month after this, over 1 month after that horrible massacre, there is now new developments into this. But some states, like we told you about, states have stricter gun laws. So let's take a quick journey into those stricter gun laws, into those bigger gun laws by state. These are the top 10 states with weakest gun laws. Some states in the U.S. are gun-friendly and have weak gun laws to allow liberal use of firearms within their jurisdiction, meaning you can just get a gun at any age. You can just get a gun at 18, not 21. You gotta get liquor at 21, get cigarettes at 21. They just give guns to minors. Toy guns. Those toy guns you see you go to Walmart, those are toy guns, meaning toy, as in piece of plastic, a thing kids play with. toy gun. But you can't bring it to school with you. You bring it to school with you, you're going to get in trouble. And I dropped my pen. So, the criteria used for this is may carry versus shall carry. States that may carry policy of firearms will only issue permits to allow residents to process firearms. Age restrictions is another way who can process firearms with these age restrictions. Now, those top 10 states with the weakest gun laws and why. Texas. It does not require a permit to purchase firearms. They allow the sales, manufacturing, and assembling firearms for federally registered individuals business. Idaho, Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, South Carolina, Utah. Concealed carry laws. I mean, those are the top 10 states with weakest gun laws. You look at the annual scorecard, and all that's an F. Texas has an F. Louisiana has an F. Alabama. All these states. Some of these states all have Fs. So it's going on in Arizona, etc. Those states have Fs. Something has to change. Coming up next, the latest on Uvalde. The mother who was arrested, who tried to save her kids and others, is now suing the Uvalde Uvalde Police Department. And then later from News Nation, why this person says the Uvalde police should be fired. Stay with us. Before we move on to the Uvalde mom who's speaking out after that incident in Uvalde, Biden now signs the gun safety bill.
News this morning, President Joe Biden signed a bipartisan gun safety bill into law. It is the most substantial legislation of its kind in nearly 3 decades. The bill includes $750 million to help states implement crisis intervention programs, and it also bars anyone convicted of domestic violence from owning a gun. It also cracks down on individuals who sell guns as a primary source of income, but have not registered as federally licensed firearm dealers. Mental health programs and school security will also get a boost in funding.
That's good. That is really good. And I'm glad this is happening. Up front tonight, Uvalde Strong, a Uvalde mom who stopped when trying to enter the school, was arrested for just trying to save her kids, is now speaking out and is suing the Uvalde Police Department. Take a look.
The Uvalde mom who tried to run into the school during the mass shooting but was stopped by police and handcuffed is now suing the police department. Angeli Gomez was trying to save her children and officers then released her. She ran back into the school to save her 2 kids, then went back in again to help other students. Gomez and her attorney held a press conference in Uvalde this afternoon where they announced that lawsuit. She also talked about those frightening moments.
No law enforcement while I was running around the school. No law enforcement. And there was a moment where I stopped by the cafeteria hearing kids scream and just think to myself, oh, let me just say a quick little prayer. Because in case he comes out, he's going to shoot me right on sight if he's shooting innocent people, innocent kids already. So what am I going to be to him? Nothing but another victim.
Gomez also described the moment her 2 sons were reunited and how afraid they were that one of the other was hurt. Well, there was a scare near.
And I'm glad she's suing the police district. After what had happened over an hour, the police chief is involved, the school district police chief is involved, the Uvalde Police Department is involved, every cook in this kitchen is involved, and I'm glad this mother is suing the police department for just arresting her for doing the right thing. She's a hero. A hero. If you arrest a hero, that's making you guys look like idiots. You're sued. And you want to arrest someone just for saving the little kids? The little kids. They're trapped. You was sitting there doing nothing. Nothing. For over an hour. Sitting there doing nothing while the school district police chief was just sitting there waiting for lots of keys and trying to figure out what to do for this. It could have taken you like, let's see, 1, 2, 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes. But no, you had to sit there, wait. For over 100 sometimes. Times 107. Times over 100 something. But, again, you knew what you did. What needs to happen here? An apology. She did the right thing. Now you had to go screw her up. Like fighting a principal for like getting in trouble and fighting the principal. That's just a joke. Came out wrong. But ain't nothing funny about waiting an hour. Like over 73 minutes. That's like waiting for your food. Over that time, okay, you're like ordering chicken and you're like going, where's that chicken? I'm hungry. I want my chicken. Give me my chicken. And you just run in there, storming and saying, where's my chicken? Where is it? Look at that. But I'm glad this is happening. This was just a failed attempt. If they hadn't followed those steps in Columbine, this would have been over in 3 minutes. The children would have been saved. And lots of people are speaking out. Like the mother of Maddie Rodriguez. Her mother is now speaking out after she was murdered. Take a look.
These every day. Green Converse with a heart on the right toe. These are the same green Converse on her feet that turned out to be the only clear evidence that could identify her after the shooting. How about that?
That was a moment that hit home for parents and people all across this country. Matthew McConaughey describing how Maite Rodriguez's green shoes had to be used to identify her body. Through all the political battles and all the finger pointing that we've seen, family members are still finding a bit of solace in keeping the stories of their children like Maite alive. For the first time, Anna Rodriguez, the mother of that beautiful little girl with those green shoes, sat down to open up about all of it from her perspective with our Ken Molestina.
She was my model. She was the only one that was willing to model for me.
10-year-old Maite Rodriguez's model-perfect pictures adorn the table in her home where her ashes now also sit. Her mother Anna welcomed us in for one specific reason. She wants to make sure all of us who ask know her daughter's story.
And I still ask her every day. I ask her to come back.
Even if she has to fight through unspeakable pain to tell it.
I ask her the unimaginable. But sometimes I just can't bear the pain. And I ask her to come back to me. And I just tell her, please, I'll do anything, just come back.
Flamingos live near water.
She wasn't only her daughter, but also her best friend. Maite was a friend to many, especially to all those who knew her for her green shoes, just like these. Her mom says they came across them at a local store recently. Maite told her she loved the color green, and high-top Converse were her favorite.
2 days later, I saw her walking around with her brand new Converse with a heart drawn on them.
Little did they know, those heart-drawn shoes would be used to identify her body following the shooting. Now they've become a worldwide symbol of the lives and the innocence taken from Uvalde and, quite frankly, this world. A replica of the shoes was even used by actor Matthew McConaughey and his wife Camilla during an appeal at the White House for gun control.
When you saw them in the White House and Matthew McConaughey was holding them, what were you thinking? What were you feeling at that time?
I was thinking of her.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, look how far you've made it. I was thinking, these shoes in this moment mean so much and are so important, and they're such like a staple in what happened here.
In a recent journal entry, Maite wrote about her future plans. The fourth grader said she wanted to be a marine biologist. She said, quote, most of the time I'll be in a lab. Sometimes I'll be on TV.
While her plans were tragically cut short, Maite's dream of doing good in this world is still very much alive. Since her death, a Texas A&M Corpus Christi scholarship for future marine biologists has been named in her honor.
Maite, you're gonna help so many students, and you're still achieving so many things even after life. And I couldn't be any more proud of her.
Through tragedy, this grieving mother has now found a new meaning in her life.
And I had to keep pushing, and I can't let her death be in vain.
She wants gun laws to change.
I want there to be a more expanded background check on these things. The age limit for assault weapons needs to change from 18 to 21. What does an 18-year-old needs an AR for? I guess we know now, right?
No doubt a very powerful and a heartbreaking message from Ana Rodriguez, who says she vows to continue to find answers specifically into the police response during the moments of that shooting, a response which has already been labeled an abject failure. I'm Ken Molestina, CBS 11 News.
And like we talked about, this mother suing the police department for just arresting her and for that 71 minutes. But in many future episodes, we're going to hear from parents, lots of parents who are now speaking out to news medias after that massacre. But there's more when we return. This person says he wants the Uvalde police fired after that incident. We'll hear his story when we return. Now for an update into Oxford. As we've been reporting throughout the past months here in this show, we've been focusing on the Oxford school shooting that happened November 31st, where Ethan Crumley fired a lot of rounds and murdered a bunch of children and injured a lot of people. Since then, his parents has been charged with Ethan for involuntary manslaughter. Both he and his parents are in jail, but in separate prison cells. The trial has been moved. That trial has been moved to January instead, because of all the evidence that's being popped up. Now there are new developments into this. According to WXYZ.com, Oxford School Board President community has every right to be upset after this shooting. Tom Donnelly is the Oxford School Board President. He says everyone has a right to be upset. The board president is talking about the first time exclusively with 7 Action News since November 21st shooting that killed 4 students and injured 7 others, including a teacher. They're also announcing several safety measures for starting the school year this fall. Electronic monitoring of the schools and students, armed guards in all 8 school buildings, a gun-sniffing dog in a high school, and a third-party safety investigation is now underway. All of it would cost $9 million with state and federal money assisting. The school board has been under intense pressure to provide those answers. One of the most outspoken has been Buck Mayer, the father of Tate Murray, who was one of the students killed in the shooting, who is now part of that lawsuit. There's a lot more healing coming this way as the third-party investigation continues. And we'll keep you posted on what's happening. When we return, this one person who says the Uvalde police should be fired is speaking to News Nation, and we'll hear his side when we come back. Now we're gonna hear from the officer from Sandy Hook. Now remember, Sandy Hook Elementary was in Newtown, Connecticut after that horrible massacre. He was the officer at that time. He spoke to News Nation, and he says that the cops should all be fired. Watch.
What's the lip?
Now, yep.
Newtown Police Captain Christopher Van Gailey was part of the team that entered Sandy Hook Elementary School a decade ago, and he is joining us live tonight. Chief, I know you're in Plainville now. Hearing this testimony from Texas DPS Steve McCraw today, it makes the hair on my arm stand up to hear his account of what happened and the missed steps and failures, which there were many that day.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me, quite frankly, extremely angry. When I think of the parents that now have this knowledge, that officers didn't do what their most basic oath was. They took an oath that their life would be sacrificed for others if it came down to that. That's what we knew at Sandy Hook. And I'll tell you, the teachers in Uvalde that died, I guarantee they died while trying to protect those children. They didn't have bulletproof vests. They didn't have guns. They didn't have ballistic shields. All they had was their bodies. And for those officers to stand out in the hallway when they had enough equipment to go in, it just for some reason it boggles the mind. I don't understand it. They basically gave up on their entire oath. And as far as I'm concerned, every single one of them should be fired. They can no longer be officers because at the most basic level, they're not willing to put themselves at risk for other people. What other type of a test do you need to prove it? Then you're sitting there listening to children get killed and you don't even try to stop it. I don't understand it.
The parents are calling for Chief Arradondo to be fired, but what I'm hearing you say is he does not carry the sole responsibility here for accountability.
Correct. If he's in the hallway and he's the most senior ranking person, perhaps he could call himself the officer in charge. But when you're part of that initial team to try to go in and take out an active shooter, there really is no rank. There's one mission, one goal, and everybody should have that same goal in mind. The fact that none of those other officers decided to push him out of the way and do what they knew was right, I guarantee they're going to take that to the grave with them. They're going to have to live with that decision forever. It's not a fight or flight situation. Like, I can understand that if in a heartbeat you get scared and you run away, but these officers had minutes, hours to decide whether or not they were going to try to put themselves in danger and perhaps get killed while trying to save a person's life, or to sit back, be safe, and let somebody else do it. And so at the most basic core, they were cowards, and all of them should be fired.
This is life and death. But it's not just the officers. I mean, talk about the leadership. You've got State Patrol, you've got Texas DPS. I mean, there were other authorities in law enforcement in that span of an hour plus that could have intervened and done something.
Like I said, in that situation, even a patrolman who's on for 1 year can say, I'm going in, and he can lead other officers into that classroom. If the highest ranking officer isn't willing to make the right decision, then other people have to push him out of the way and take charge. It's as simple as that.
Calling them cowards and they will take this to the grave is harsh, but I don't know that it's unnecessary in this circumstance. But you've got a lot of police officers out there tonight who are putting themselves in danger to keep the public safe. What now? What do we do to make sure that they're properly trained, they're prepared to act on that oath and save lives?
Well, we look at situations like this. We always learn from other shootings in other cities. And the one thing you learn, first of all, is it can happen anywhere. If it could happen in Colorado, it could happen in Newtown, it could happen in Uvalde, and any town in between. And the officers have to be prepared for it. That's what, makes you act when you're scared out of your mind. In Sandy Hook, we were all very scared, but we still had a job to do, and we put one foot in front of the other, and we did it. In our situation, the shooter shot himself and committed suicide, and so we didn't have to face anybody shooting at us. But I'll tell you, there's not one officer that entered the Sandy Hook school that wouldn't give their life to this day to save at least one of those children. And that's what I think about when I see those officers standing in that hallway, that they possibly could have saved a situation, a person, a life, and we didn't have that chance in Sandy Hook, as much as we tried.
What else stands out to you, Chief, about what we've learned, not only about the timeline, but the unlocked door and the failure to act when it needed to happen? With today's testimony, which was heartbreaking to hear, Where are the other lessons learned?
The lessons learned are for officers around the country. And, being harsh, I get it, but it just boils the blood. And they sacrificed, their oath. They were supposed to go in there, and for some reason, they just didn't want to face the gunfire. And they had enough equipment with them. I think they had some training in active shooter. They had long guns with them. They had bullet-resistant vests. They had the bullet shield. They certainly could have made an attempt to gain entry, but they did not. And that's the main lesson here for other law enforcement officers to see. Because I don't think there's one officer that is watching this on TV as it unfolds, thinking to himself, I would have done the exact same thing. You're not going to find that. You're going to find the exact opposite. We're supposed to run to where the danger is, not sit there and wait.
The other layer to this is school security, and we've had a number of Uvalde parents speak up that they have been concerned about school security leading up to this. They're concerned about it now, sending their kids back in the fall. When you talk about the protection in place at schools, you've been there, you've seen it firsthand. Where are we missing opportunities to keep our kids safe?
Well, I think, in every school district, money is a large issue, funding. Because it takes a lot of money to properly secure a school, both the physical part of the building, meaning doors that lock a certain way, camera systems, access control, different physical barriers. And then you have, the most expensive piece, which is actually hiring an armed school security officer to be at every single one of your schools. Connecticut did that right after Sandy Hook. There was some legislature that came out, some rules regarding hiring officers that retired in good standing. They can go through a course, they can get trained, and they can go into those schools, and every single school should have an armed school security officer that is a cop in good standing, retired, and they can do the security at the school. But like I said, that's a very expensive proposition because you're hiring people.
Yeah, but nothing's more important than the people they're protecting. Chief, you've lived this.
Exactly.
You've lived this fear. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you so much, Maury.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
And it makes me sick. I'm glad this officer... I'm glad that officer came forward to tell his side of the story, and I agree with him. Those officers should be fired. There needs to be more background. Those officers should have been fired. All those officers should be fired. Now, there is a lawsuit happening, and I also agree with him that more security is put in place, but it's all about the money. And Flower Bluff's not doing anything about it. CCISD may be doing something like clearing out the backpacks. Beeville is doing the clear backpack thing, and not letting one use lockers. But Flower Bluffs only do the clear bag policy for athletic events such as baseball, basketball, football, volleyball, soccer, etc. But when you look at stuff like this, you only do that for the athletics because it's like this. It's like choosing soup over a woman. You may be looking at me going, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Her shot. Sorry. What do you mean by that? Okay, what I mean by that is like this. The soup part would be safety for the schools. You choose soup, you would just forget about the woman. So if you were to choose only the clear bag policy for the athletic events, you would forget about security for the other schools. Now, the woman part is more security and officers at every school. A lot of money, a lot of everything, training backgrounds, Army teachers, if that should be the case. You get the picture now? It's like you choose soup over a woman, over a girl, then what would happen is that girl would leave and you would still be with the soup. That's how it is. That's how it is. You'd rather choose soup over a woman?
Bay Bravo was a real.
But there is still more. A fourth grader reads those names. Watch.
Bay Bravo was a really pretty girl, and she was also really fast, a really fast runner. And then Jacqueline Gussides was always a really happy person and liked hanging out with all of her friends. And then McKenna Elrod, she liked the colors pink and blue, and she liked playing with the fidgets. And Ellie Garcia, she liked doing TikTok dances, and she was just a really fun person. She was actually in my 2nd grade class, and there was this winter dance, and her dad was the DJ, and we were just laughing the whole time and dancing. And then Uzziah Garcia, he was really fast, and literally half the school liked him, even if they were 3rd graders. And then Eliana Torres, she was a really beautiful girl, and she was really outgoing, and she liked hanging around with all of her friends as well. And Jacqueline and Eliana, they were friends. And Amory, she was my best friend. She was a beautiful and amazing person. She was really smart and really funny.
That was the victim describing the other victims. But there's still more to this. All this week, we're going to be hearing from the survivors and hearing from the parents of Uvalde. So here's how it's going to be. On Monday, security equipment is installed at Uvalde School. That's the first step. We'll look at that on Monday. We'll also look at the surviving student. And we'll also hear from Uvalde, and then on Tuesday we'll hear from Uvalde Mayor. Also on Wednesday we're going to hear from the mayor. On Friday we're going to hear from the teacher. Actually, Monday we're going to hear from the victims. Then on Wednesday we're going to hear from the mayor. And Friday is going to be the start of our back to school month, which we've done for 5 years on Give Me a Break. Looking at back to school stuff because school in Flabop is going to start August 8th. And for some students it's going to be start in July. So more tips on everything like I've been doing for the past 5 years. If you watch the show, you've known the back to school. So this week's going to be the last week for me catching up with the Give Me a Break YouTube channel. But like I said before, reruns are going to happen on the Give Me a Break YouTube channel. Newer ones are going to be on the American Player channel, so that we won't be confused. So, that's Give Me a Break for now. Join all of us on YouTube next time for another edition to Give Me a Break. Good night.